So the main thing I'm wondering is if the rapture is happening on Tuesday, on the 23rd of this month, as it has been proclaimed to be
Mm.
occurring. Um, is that because or even organizing this stream with multiple different time zones is hard enough? I'm wondering, am
Oh, big
I?
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Does that mean it's my 23rd? I mean, like we are one of the first
Oh,
countries in the world. So like,
oh,
do I go or
will you
possibly
get
not
raptured
go
first because of
before
the for
everyone
the
else? Yeah, yeah,
what about
yeah.
the guys
Like
who are on like the islands that are like really funky into the
that's what I'm thinking.
dateline?
Like Tuvalu, like
Yeah.
Tuvalu is going to be running. They're going to be
Yeah.
running through heaven. They're going to be stealing all the best beds, like the first episode of Big Brother. They're going to be, and this is, I mean, they can do that because I mean their island has been sinking because of the West's, like
Well,
climate change. So they can take the good
That is
beds in
fair.
heaven. Yeah.
it's ironic to talk about Pacific Islanders because I was gonna say about the influencer who was live streaming
Oh
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
Charlie Kirk shooting. I heard that like Tongans and Samoans were like trying
Yeah.
to argue that both sides
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
argue he was
There's
not their
like
boy, like
the
disowning him from all
historic beef.
sides.
Yeah, yeah,
And like
between
I
yeah.
go on.
I was going to say historic beef between Samoan and Tongan culture extends all the way to things like this. And I was just got like, I saw everyone arguing, like, he's one of yours. And just Maori, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything was just happy that it wasn't one of ours because we had the guy at the Tommy Robinson march. Well, we had those guys, so we're
Oh
like, no,
no.
we don't need we don't need some more of these guys. Not this week. No.
Maybe we'll
The
find out. Like, maybe we'll get clarification because he will definitely be live streaming the end of the
yeah.
world.
The
He'll definitely
incredible
be.
thing Yeah, I mean the incredible thing is that like these guys will like never miss a moment to like to make a live stream. It's like incredible, like the dedication to it. It's yeah.
But I couldn't believe
I
like he was like soy facing and pog champing and
And then
he
and
was
he
like
was the
actually
guy that
doing
ran
pug
to the
face.
table and took all the merch as well, and then tried to
is he the
sell
Yeah,
it. It
same
was
guy?
incredible. It was the
yeah, yeah.
same guy.
He's gonna be making a beeline for like eBay in heaven. Like, can you
Mm.
sell like
He's
a picture of a selfie with Saint Peter? Can you like get a bit of the pearly gates and like flog
I think
it?
he's gonna be scalping Rapture tickets. Like he's gonna be like, you know,
Here's
like you
my
get to take
take.
someone else's place.
Here's my take. If the rapture is real, if God is
Mm.
real, and God is the good person, omnipresent being that everyone in Christo Abrahamic religion says that God is, then the only true purpose of the rapture is to get all of the evil people off this planet and give them like a fake facade version of heaven that isn't actually heaven, and it's what they all think is heaven in their like weird
Oh.
AI memes where it's just kind of
Mm.
this like blank empty space where there's loads
So
of people just wearing like armor, but then like they're just there forever. They're
yeah,
just there forever.
I'm
There's no benefit to being there. They're just there forever, and it's actually hell.
I'm picturing like all of the evangelicals being slopped off the earth, and they're like, yes, so happy, like it's finally happening, and they just keep going up and up and up, and then just like through the atmosphere, and then just into the void of space, and then they just like into
Yeah,
the sun, just into the sun,
yeah,
just like
yeah.
beam of raptured Christians. No, but it's actually like I looked this up because I was curious. You said rapture on Tuesday in the group chat, obviously, like what are we wearing? Obviously, we all coordinate. But the but it's like it's Rosh Hashanah, right? It's the Jewish New Year is what
Oh, is
determines
it?
it, and
Oh.
Oh,
that's actually like starting tomorrow. So like Tuesday's in the middle of it, but it could be tomorrow, it could be Tuesday, it could be Wednesday, depending on I guess like how much of the Talmud you read, ironically for the rapture.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and is it like all at the same time? Like I feel like because it's like what is the origin of the rapture myth? Like I feel like, like I feel like we need to get back to the source and figure it out because like the version that the Americans like this, obviously like they're very there's a lot of Americans experiencing religious psychosis at the moment. This is, like this is a thing that's happening. It would be interesting to know, like to see their experience of what they believe the rapture is going to be versus what actually happens could be quite interesting, you know, like it's like they
Yeah, I
all show
mean
up to the
the
party and it's just like a completely different thing.
I don't know if this is like growing up after 9/11 in the like there was so much intense good versus evil Gog and Magog shit going on. But
Mm.
I totally thought that the rapture was like an OG Christian idea, and only really recently found out that there's just like no rapture in the Bible. This is completely like
Yeah,
an
yeah, that's what I
add-on.
was kind of thinking, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like how I think even like hell was like originally not really a thing in there. Like there was no like lake of fire and
That's right.
punishment and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
like
like a Catholicism thing. Yeah,
Hell
yeah,
is
and
a
it's
really
like
interesting one. It's gone through a lot of cultural permutations
yeah,
over
yeah,
yeah.
because there's like
yeah.
the pre Christian like you know there's like the Jewish thing where it's like this kind of like big like washing machine for souls and all this kind of stuff, and then you know for some reason it's become this like eternal punishment like you know thing or whatever,
Well,
and then yeah,
well, in uh, Dante's Divine Comedy has become like almost
become canonical.
canonized
Yeah,
because it's so popular and so like essential in culture. And there, it's like Inferno is like you're fucked, like you're cooked. You have done too
yeah.
much bad stuff. You're here forever, and you wouldn't change if we gave you the chance. And in Purgatory, it's all like you have this specific sin, and if you can get
Yeah.
over it, it's like the worst ever therapy. Like if you had like the cardinal sin of lust, you were just like thrown around in like a whirlwind until you stop being horny. They just like batter
Oh,
you
really?
around in a whirlwind
That's
until
not
you
gonna
stop.
work.
Yeah, yeah. I was hoping
Not
it
for
would
the
be more one
whirlwind
of those
kinksters.
like yeah, yeah. I was hoping it would be more one of those like ones where, you know, like in like every movie or video game, there's always like lust demons and they're always like hot as hell. Like yeah, I was hoping for more of that one of those situations, but
Presumably they are there giving you like the spinny suck. Anyway, if you it's Red Planet, and depending on your understanding of theology, write to us and let us know which kind of demonic suck you would like. It's important to the show, but for now, we're going to start with what we always start the show with, which was Tim. What's the most base thing you did this week?
um not too much really aside from I was just thinking about this earlier. It's the closest I've got this week. I passed off a big bundle of books and documentaries and things to a friend. Well, like ebooks and of files to some friends because just like a bunch of stuff that well, so it was for one specific friend, and then there were a couple other people that I would mention it to. I was like, hey, by the way, I've got all this stuff. And it's all stuff that is like pretty, you know, beginner stuff. But I feel like a lot of people have over the last, well, you know, like with all things going on at the moment, a lot of people are like, hey, I want to actually learn more about like left politics and stuff. It's like, okay, cool. Well, I've got some stuff that can help you out. So yeah, passing on a bunch of stuff and giving recommendations for people like, oh, you should probably start with this, you know, check this out, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, a little bit of, I don't know, like friendly community education is probably yeah, probably my most basic thing this week. What about Mule? What are you been up to?
Yeah, I've done nothing to be honest. I made the decision last week, as I said on the show, to get back into Great Manchester Tenants Union stuff.
Mm.
So really, I've just kind of been poking my head into, what's going on essentially. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna. There's always been with GMTU a large sort of default branch for people who join, which is basically South and Central. And
Mm.
it's a bit of an absurd branch because it's such a big area. It's like the city centre, Salford Quays, fucking the entirety of South Manchester except for Hume, Moss Side, Levenshulme, and it's like
LIU
that's
has similar problems, yeah.
yeah, and it's just huge, and it's like, I live in town. There's a lot of people here who are in social housing, and they're completely bypassed because a lot of people come here to gentrify, the city. They, whether they know that they're doing it or not. Mostly they do it because they've been gentrified out of London. So obviously
Mm,
it's like, gentrification by force kind of thing. It's this, and obviously like the true gentrifiers are actually the people who are doing the developing of the
yeah.
the city itself and the council. And so yeah, I thought like I'd just ask, and there's apparently 13 people who would be interested in that. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and found the city centre branch and just kind of get that kicked off, kind of thing. So that's my goal for the next couple of months up until Christmas. And yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you updated. So, what about you?
Yeah, I guess a couple of things. I'm still sick, so I'm going to sound a little bit rough on this episode. I battled through my sickness to work, which is not very based of me actually. Like I've been on a long journey of trying to have a better relationship to work after like having serious mental health issues, and like work stress was part of that a couple of years ago. Um, like I was patting myself on the back for finishing at 6 the other day and like cooking dinner and then getting in bed and watching some TV with my wife. But like I did that while still sick. Anyway, the base thing I did was I got a video out about Charlie Kirk and the misinformation around the Charlie Kirk shooting. It's on my channel. You should check it out. It's only half an hour, which I know like is the video essay
Mm,
minimum length. It's like, I understand that's actually a long time for people who mostly watch Instagram Reels or whatever, but it's, I think I'm very proud of it. I think I've gotten to the heart of like what's really been bugging me about a bunch of misinformation stuff that's been going around.
yeah.
And yesterday I
Um,
went along to the what were you gonna say, Tim?
I'm gonna say, can I please take two big W's because two of my claims from last week were right. Said the messages were seemingly inauthentic and they were reproductions. So they weren't the actual Discord messages. And the other one, that it could possibly be a dog day afternoon situation. So
Okay, no, hang on, hang on. Firstly,
yeah,
I'll give you Dog Day Afternoon,
yeah,
just fucking cold entirely. Yes,
yeah.
100%. We love like Chaser Magic. We love like I was chatting to a trans mask friend of mine, who like has the highest level of respect for the dolls of anyone I've ever met. He
Mm,
would absolutely die for them. And I was just saying, like, I think a bunch of cis leftist men don't want to believe in the trans girlfriend because they wouldn't do anything, let
mm.
alone anything in particular, to defend like abortion rights or anything for their cis
Yeah, yeah,
girlfriend.
yeah.
And they just couldn't believe that someone would like care that much about their girlfriend.
Mm,
Anyway, I give you that. The Discord thing,
yeah.
I'm not 100%. Like, I think I read the statement from Discord as them trying to cover their
Mm,
ass. Just them saying specifically there are no messages where they were planning the shooting or colluding on Discord because they're like they want to say like we don't have any legal liability. That's my take.
But I feel like maybe the messages were from like either because they said they were reproduced from like something to do with a note under the keyboard and all this kind of stuff. And I think that
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
probably a combination of different sources that they just compiled together to try and make a more cohesive case is what I probably
yeah, defo.
think happened. And then because what I was saying, I was like, these don't sound like how people talk to each other. Like I had hypothesized that maybe it was they had had a conversation with the girlfriend and then
Yeah, yeah,
reproduced the messages from her recollection or something like
Okay,
yeah.
that.
okay,
I think you're
but
on it. I think I'll give you two for
oh,
two there.
okay, but it is exactly how a weirdo, apolitical gamer who never goes outside, who was raised in Mormon, Utah, would speak to his girlfriend that isn't actually his girlfriend and he's just a chaser. Like that
The
is it like calling her my love, I've just done the deed. And she's like, what are you fucking talking about?
Mm.
And
Also,
he's
it
like,
could be
I've
how
just
the
murdered
Mormon
Charlie
agent,
Kirk.
the
tips
Mormon
fedora and
agent that
winks.
is
It is done, kitten.
yeah. I was gonna say the Mormon agent that asked ChatGPT to write some Discord logs for this.
I
Now
True,
we're getting
true,
crazy
true.
again.
Speaking quickly of just like, and I know we will move on from this, but news to discuss whatever. But like speaking quickly on like his upbringing, his culture, whatever. Like, yeah, him being like from a family that were big into guns. Like, there's pictures of them going to like gun shows when he was like a child.
Mm,
Is kind of interesting to me because like there was an interview with his grandma where she was like, "No, no one in the family likes guns. He's never touched a gun. He's a good boy. He would never go near a gun."
And then there's
And then
these
it turns
photos
out
of
that
him.
like the whole family is super into guns, and that's like definitely the grandma like knowing as soon as the feds
Yeah.
call to deny everything
Yeah.
was fascinating to me.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely.
so my video, Charlie Kirk Misinformation as It Happens, is available on my YouTube channel, Sophie from Mars, and it's good, and you should watch it and share it, and go to my
Mm.
Patreon. But the other base thing I did this week was just yesterday I went to the London Anarchist Book Fair, which I can't you don't quote me that that's the name because a few years ago it suffered like seven consecutive splits, and now there's like the Anarchist Book Fair, the London Anarchist Book Fair, the Anarchist Book Fair in London, the book fair for anarchists in London, like all these names. It's crazy,
Amazing.
but it was chill. I picked up a short book called Bodies to Wear, which is a Lacanian is four Lacanian takes on transness that I think people would be interested
Mm.
in. So check that out. I also found out about some cool stuff, including a commune in the north that's being planned. I've sent Mule some
Oh.
information about. But yeah, that was my week. We always want to know what you, the audience, have been doing, what base stuff you've been up to. You can message us on social media, or you can send an email to based@redplanetshow.com. Include your name and pronouns if that's okay with you, and we may shout out in a later episode. But for now,
Mm.
Mule, what's going on with the flotilla?
Yes, so I cannot remember if we brought this up. I think we might have spoken about it very briefly when it was launching, but this is about the Global Samud Flotilla and how now that it is on its final sort of leg of the journey, Israel has decided to designate it as a terrorist jihadi flotilla. So the Global Samud Flotilla, which is the largest civilian flotilla to ever set sail to Gaza in an attempt to break the siege by the Zionist entity, has been designated the, quote, Hamas Flotilla, end quote, in a cynically embarrassing yet dangerous move by the Zionist Knesset, prompting reiterations of everything is Hamas by commenters online and all over the world. The Zionist entity has threatened to charge all activists on the flotilla, including Greta Thunberg, Irish comedian and activist Targ Hickey, and US veteran activist Greg Stoker, with terrorism and detain them indefinitely. It is also important to point out that on the last time that she went there with some other activists, including Diego Avila from Brazil and Rima Hassan from France, from the French member of European Parliament, they were banned from Israel, so-called Israel, for 100 years. So the threat from the Zionist entity seems to originate from Hamas's vocal support for the flotilla, which of course comes from a desire for food and aid to be delivered to their people. Regardless, Hamas and Palestinians in Gaza have voiced support for the previous flotillas, and this level of threat has never been aimed at them by so-called Israel. It appears that the large number of ships, numbering 40 in total, with delegations from 45 different countries, is the main cause of fear for the Zionist entity. Previously, all the flotillas had just been one ship per flotilla, but calls from the flotilla movement for a full armada of boats were heard around the world, and now they approach Gaza at the time of this broadcast in the yellow zone, which is where the last flotilla was illegally boarded and seized by the IOF in international waters, constituting an act of piracy. 16 countries have demanded that the so-called 16 countries have demanded that so-called Israel leave the boats alone and allow humanitarian aid into the enclave. Amidst this, the Zionist occupying forces have been over the past 5 days attempting Gideon's Chariots 2, a second attempt to invade and control all of Gaza, something denied to them by resistance forces over the last 6 months. The IOF has been routinely bombing Gaza City over the last 3 days, destroying what little infrastructure remains, blocking the internet and killing hundreds of Palestinians every day. After today, Canada, the UK, and Australia recognizing a Palestinian state ahead of the UN summit starting tomorrow, Netanyahu has reiterated his administration's plans to annex the West Bank, vowing to never allow a Palestinian state to exist, which kind of cements the idea that it is a completely pointless and cynical, pathetic move that means absolutely nothing to the Palestinian people. But yeah, I think it's still important to demand support from your local politician and representative to protect those aboard the flotilla. Whether you think it will be effective or not, it's not really that, we've said this before. Sophie had a great way of putting it, which I will always repeat whenever I'm talking about emailing your MP. You're never going to have the magic words to make your MP change their mind. But if we overwhelm them with messages, it will show that there is an overwhelming amount of public support for this thing.
You're just trying to be
So-
one email out of many emails they get. Don't
Mm.
waste a ton of time on it.
Exactly. So yeah, that is the news about the global Sunward Flotilla. So obviously there will be updates on that from the global Sunward Flotilla website throughout the night, and they are scheduled to arrive in Gaza either tonight or tomorrow morning. So yeah, all eyes on the global Sunward Flotilla. But Soph, tell us about what is going on over in Argentina.
Yeah, sure. So I saw an interesting report. Like I only really have this from one source at the moment, but it's part of an ongoing crisis. So I could believe what it's MSN who was saying this. The Argentinian economy is on the brink of collapse. What's been going on is just L after L after L. I've written down a little joke here to begin my comments. They should make Javier Milei's name longer so he can fit in all these L's. Um, so shit's really fucking dire. Have touched on this on the show before, but the Argentinian economy was an incredible mess before Milei arrived, where they were doing this thing where they used differing exchange rates depending on who you are and what you're buying to essentially create like six parallel currencies in the economy because the peso was so wild and so uncontrollable. And and unpredictable. Yeah, now the country is basically having to sell like tons of its like Federal Reserve to try and stabilize the peso at all. They've just sold like over $1 billion worth. And Milei recently got a $20 billion loan from the IMF because obviously he's very happy with like working with the IMF, like being like absolute like lunatic libertarian, but is not doing good with it. The economy was in a mess when he arrived, and this guy's like fiscal policy is we should legalize organ sales.
Yeah.
Like
I wouldn't worry
so
too much about your
can, like,
initial assertion, Soph, because Financial Times is reporting the same thing, and that's how you know that the economy is definitely in trouble. So yeah, just so you know.
Hell. But yeah, no, this comes right after 2 weeks ago, Malay lost a provincial election to a landslide win for the left. The left party, the Peronist party, or the Justicialists, the Justicialistas, is basically like the party who, for about 50 years now, has held power in Argentina while they've gone through a ton of different like iterations that all claim to be the same legacy, the Peronists, but there are like center and center right Peronists. It's very similar to like the Labour Party in a way where there are some guys who like wouldn't want to call themselves communists because of the bad press, but they're quite leftist for an elected politician.
Yeah.
And then there's some guys who are just like soulless neoliberal ghouls who are like, we're the same guys, we're just in the same party, and we're like have the same ideology, and it's like, oh, you no, not even slightly. And there were a lot of different people calling themselves Peronists after another for a long time until Milei came in, being like, we're just going to make everything really simple. It was like peak bloke politics, just be like, we've got this messy economy with like six currencies, so we'll just make it simple, just have one currency, the US dollar. And like obviously this appeals to the median voter as just like, yeah, that
Someone
makes
already
sense.
has that one.
That'll just fix it immediately. And then he immediately comes in with, actually, we are going to have the peso still and the dollar. Plus, I'm making so a bunch of our Federal Reserve is going to be in crypto, and I'm going to promote crypto coins. Which brings us to his first massive L 2 years ago. He promoted a coin called Libra, broadly understood as
That's right.
being a meme coin because it was just like only popular off of him saying, "Hey, Argentinians who love everything dumb I'm doing, buy Libra." So all his biggest fans bought into it, and then it vanished. And it's clearly like a rug pull that he has like benefited from, although they haven't been able to find like the evidence so far to show what his
Mm.
payout was or whatever. But it's like he was very involved in its development, and then it rug pulled all his biggest fans. And yeah, now everyone fucking hates him. So it's like it's fascinating to watch like a guy kind of speed run Trump, basically, like come in
Yep.
with the like anti-establishment, even though he kind of is establishment. I'm gonna do a bunch of cuts. I'm gonna make everyone's lives fucking worse. I've got a note here: two austerity measure vetoes were overturned by Malay after overwhelming public opposition this week. Like this is another thing of like, this is like another defeat for him that's happened, but it also shows his general like unpopularity and the insanity of what he's doing. He's trying to cut
Yeah.
funding to pediatric hospitals, like completely nuts. Um, and yeah, just like Millet is kind of most iconic for his little viral moment, little moment with the chainsaw because he's cutting so much red tape,
Yeah.
and there is something very essential in that viral moment of like his take on Trumpism, like his take on being like the absurd, buffoonish clown
Mm.
fascist, where his version of it is a chainsaw. It's high octane, it's getting the job done fast, and that's exactly what he's done. He's just gone straight to like so unpopular that a month ago, this is the last L in our story. He was actually pelted with stones while campaigning. So it's going really fucking bad. He's lost the
Mm.
province that's like the biggest predictor of how the election will go. The economy is in free fall. Argentina is going to be one to watch. It needed a very, very, very smart economist to come in and
Mm.
probably do a lot of socialism, and it got
Got the
this
opposite,
guy,
literally the
the
opposite.
perfect opposite guy.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's one to watch. We'll see what happens there. Could be interesting, especially with there being so much like popular uprising around the
Yeah.
world in so many countries right
The
now. It might kick off.
contradictions be heightening.
We were speaking earlier of like misinformation and just like I do want to point out that there are already reels and TikToks going around that are like showing riots in Argentina and being like Argentina is uprising, like when they're listing off different countries that are having uprisings. And
Mm.
Argentina did have riots 2 years ago when Malay came in. He was pelted with rocks recently, but there weren't actually recent riots, so that's like a bit of outdated footage being
Oh
used
yeah.
there. But yeah, Tim, what's going on with the UN?
So, as a lot of you might have seen, the UN has finally, so the UN Commission has finally found that Israel is committing and has committed genocide in the Gaza Strip. Um, the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry has concluded that Israel committed 4 out of 5 genocidal acts against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip under the 1948 Genocide Convention. This includes killing, causing serious harm, and imposing conditions to destroy the Palestinian population. So, all of these things, we've obviously seen them in real time, in HD on our phones. It hasn't really been a question to anyone, but there's the whole thing with the UN, they have to have a very watertight case. They have to be able, there's like this really long, drawn out process. Um, Israeli authorities, including leaders like Benjamin Netanyahu and Isaac Herzog, are accused of inciting genocide through their actions and statements. And so they have to be able to, they had to prove that were showing clear and deliberate intentions. Like, this is what they are saying and this is what they want to do. And yeah, I mean, there's been so many times when people like these guys, people in the Knesset and stuff have directly said, like, yes, we should do the genocide. We are going to do it. Like, this is what we are doing now. But but it's taken this long apparently to be like, oh yeah, they're just doing the thing that they say they're doing. Um, so the report calls for immediate action, ending the siege on Gaza, ensuring unimpeded humanitarian aid, and holding Israeli leaders accountable. So this underscores the need for international solidarity and accountability to end the suffering in Gaza, because we've already seen, like, a lot of states are now kind of compelled to recognize Palestine, and it's like technically it's their duty for all UN states to start acting in any way possible to stop this genocide from continuing. It's kind of like their legal obligation as being part of the whole UN thing. But yeah, interesting because now we're at this point where there are these states that are actively and historically kind of like abetting or helping create the conditions for this genocide that are now starting to recognize that Palestine is a state. And it's kind of like, well, where does this put you? Like, where does this put all of you guys? I was talking the other day with some friends about some of like the biggest like rock star companies in New Zealand, like Rocket Lab, have been doing Israeli military contracts. You know, like they have this money to launch their satellites because they are using like they're doing launches for the Israeli military for like spy satellites and shit like that. And obviously we also have like Raycon and Honeywell here and stuff, and they've all contributed to this stuff. And it's like, so what is our responsibility to do this now? And also like activists that have been imprisoned or charged with things for, like acting against this genocide, like what does this mean for their cases? Yeah, so the commission has urged other states to stop aiding Israel's genocidal campaign and to take legal actions against those involved, which is kind of what I'm getting at now. Like, what does that mean for, like these all these separate kind of business entities and stuff around the world that have taken part of this? Does this mean that, like the government is compelled by the UN to make a case, or is it going to be, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, okay, cool. Like we finally said the thing, but what does that actually mean when we still have a lot of these states, directly involved with Israel? Israel ramped up their bombing campaigns as soon as it looked like it was going to go ahead. So it's like, I guess they probably feel like they're gonna get like they're getting in trouble, so they may as well do all the other stuff, because it's like, you can't like charge someone with double genocide. It's like, well, you're doing it, fucking, which is insane. And there have also already been all these like plans popping up about like, like what the UN and other UN states can do to like help in the genocide. And there have been some like extremely cynical things here, like, like these peacemaking plans that basically just end up being like, okay, we are going to do a slow handover to, do like basically what Israel wants, but like peacekeepers are going to do it. And we're gonna make sure that instead of Palestinians being escorted out at gunpoint, that they are going to be like, like safely transported, just like shit like that. It's like, so it is, while it is a step forward, I'm still like quite skeptical that the liberal rules-based order is going to suddenly flip on its head to, you know to to undo what has been done, but as much as possible. But yeah, so we'll see how that develops. I'm sure, we've been covering everything this far. We're going to continue to. But yeah, in the meantime, why don't you tell us about old Mr. Tommy Robinson, Mule?
Old man Robinson. Yeah, so this is the news that Tommy Robinson, in a hilarious turn of events, has been deported from 2 countries after fleeing England, fearing further prosecution. So Tommy Robinson, or Stephen Yaxley Lennon, fascist agitator of the far right in the UK, was prevented entry to Colombia on Friday, the 19th of September, by border police on the grounds that he represented a national security threat to the country. And that is a quote from the border police. Instead of returning to the UK, however, he then went to Panama instead, where he was also refused entry due to similar concerns. Lol, and may I add, Lamau. Yaxley Lennon has not spent much time in the UK since the end of August due to fears of further state prosecution relating to an assault of a member of the public at St Pancras Station in London. And despite the Crown Prosecution Service citing unlikely conviction due to a lack of a statement from said victim, I don't think Stephen's going to be feeling all that comfortable due to literal threats against Keir Starmer's life at his Unite the Kingdom rally last week.
Yep.
Not only were... Go on, Soph.
Well, can I just say, like, I said this, I think, last week when the Big Bash rally had just happened, but like, there are guys, Tommy Robinson's core fandom, the EDL, they think if he punches the prime minister, he becomes prime minister. And it's like, it's so much like that because, like, when Lenin was in exile and he was like in another country and like had to, like wait until the revolution succeeded to come home, like, it was because he was writing theory, like leftist theory that was too dangerous to people. And he was organizing in a way that was too dangerous to the Tsar. And like, Tommy, like, got in a fight outside St. Pancras and then came back in the country and was like, um, was like, Keir Starmer, suck your mum, come fight me in Downing Street, and then had to run away again. And it's just like, it's like he's got his like Lenin in exile arc, but for instead of like an organized revolution, it's just for like fight the prime minister, just like
Yeah,
fight every guy in Britain until he is in charge.
yeah. It
Yeah,
should also
it's
be
Highlander
yeah.
rules.
You should it should also be stated that the person that he got into a fight with a six was a 65-year-old man
Wow.
when he was at St. Pancras. So yeah, it's just yeah, it's completely bizarre. So not only were Robinson's claims of the crowd size at Unite the Kingdom rally being 3 million attendees completely exaggerated, even the official police reported size of the protest was off by around 24,000 attendees, according to crowd size expert from the University of Melbourne, Professor Milad Hagani, who said that after running the numbers at a push, the crowd was at most 76,000 strong and 56,000 on the lower end. Not insignificant, but a far cry from the reported numbers. Nonetheless, there is a momentum of fascism in the UK gaining, certainly, whether it's as popular as is being reported or not. The key thing to remember is that as hateful and dangerous rhetoric is amped up by white supremacists in a bolder and broader fashion, more and more people worldwide will refuse and reject their politics. This latest example of Latin American states strengthened by a renewed resistance against US aggression in the region and solidarity thanks to BRICS, an already present third worldism in the region, means that fascist actors from imperialist nations will continue to be barred from the freedoms that others enjoy. No high-grade GAC for Tommy this weekend. In further news, an open letter signed by the Christian leaders all over the UK demands that Robinson and his fascist movement stop using Christian imagery in their protests. This hosts speculation is that American evangelicist think tanks who could be funding UKIP and other fascist groups around this country simply do not understand either A, the extreme atheism of most fascists in the UK, and B, the historical and aristocratic power of the Anglican churches in this country. So there you go. Bit of interesting stuff about the far right and the stuff from last weekend. Last week we were talking about all that on the show. Speaking of the far right, Soph, tell us all about what was going on with Trump this week.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, Trump is here, right? He's still here, right? Like, he's here now. He's in the room with us. No, he isn't because he's at the Charlie Kirk Memorial right now. Right this second, he's eulogizing Charlie Kirk, but he's been here. And we're going to talk a bit this week about the the anti-trans stuff and the like crackdown on just like basically knowing anything that's going on in America right now. But Trump has a lot of the stuff that Trump did, he announced like from Keir Starmer's living room at the country mansion in Chequers, the country mansion Chequers. Like he just yeah, it's it's pretty fucking wild. Like the trans people reclassified as nihilist violent extremists. Uh, that that happened with the president out the country just over here, which I think is like really cementing the UK as the 51st state thing. But Trump has come back for an unprecedented second state visit. Um, Presidents ain't supposed to do this unless they're, here on specific business. He's just said, I want a second tour of the UK. I want a second little UK holiday. He loves golfing in Scotland. He loves seeing Prince Andrew, don't ask why. And he just wanted to come back for another one. It's that story where he was like, everyone else has had one scoop of ice cream. I want to have two because I'm the president. Like he's just doing two scoops, but for state visits. Um, so he's here, and people are protesting. People hate him. People hate him being here. Um, not a massive turnout to the main protest. I think people are feeling very aggravated about a lot of stuff and want to like focus more and more on things that will have the most effect, which is like the general trend we're seeing towards direct action and away from marches, which is cool. Unless the marches are going to be absolutely massive. I think the effect of living alongside a genocide has definitely exacerbated that. But like I saw someone describe a symbolic action as a symbolic action today, like in reporting, and I was like, whoa. They actually understand that that did nothing and was just like a little bit of play pretend. Wow. Um, but 5,000 people showed up to the main thing, the march, carry the signs around and say all the slogans, which is fine. They had all the classic props there, the people who are dressed as handmaids, the like inflatable Trump baby, the whatever. I wish we had the Philippines pinata where people can just like bash the fuck out of Trump with hammers.
It should
In
also,
paper mache, sorry to be clear, disclaimer. Bash the fuck out of Trump to death to little pieces with hammers in paper mache only.
yes. It should also be said that there was a load of embarrassing stuff as well. Like, one thing that I saw was they did have a paper mache version of Trump, but he had like a tiny Putin on top of his head, like Ratatouille, like pulling all the levers and stuff. And it's like
That's pretty cringe. That's pretty cringe.
it's funny, but I need liberals to understand that Putin is not telling Trump what to do. He's
Yeah.
not someone who gets told what to do. He
Yeah.
just does what he wants.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
It's pretty fucking wacky. I don't know. I feel like it's such an interesting kind of Orientalism to it's a conspiracism and Orientalism. They're just like it must be the spooky guy over there, like must
Yeah,
be like the spooky sinister Russian guy doing it. It's like
it could never happen
no,
here.
it's
Fascism could
there
never
is a
happen here.
there is a country we've known all our lives to be like the dumbest country in the world. They make their people
Exactly.
dumber on purpose to make them easier to
Mm,
control. And then a guy who's really successful, like he's really rich, was able to like be like, I'm so successful, vote for me. And they just did. And now he's in charge and he's the worst. Like that it's not actually that hard to
no.
Occam Occam slam dunking over
Yeah,
and over again, W after W recently. People need to
yeah.
trust in the razor. Anyway, sorry, we're talking about Trump protests. So, number two, everyone hates Elon is a is a protest group that I learned about just today in researching this, because they printed what they called the largest Epstein photo in the world, which I love, like that language as if it's gonna go in the Guinness Book of World Records,
Mm,
like largest ever picture of a sex offender, like. And they had this massive like parachute image basically printed of Trump hanging out with Epstein, and laid it on the grounds at Windsor
Yeah.
Castle so that it would be visible to like anyone passing overhead, you know, which is really powerful stuff. I just love to see it. And again, just love that there's a protest group called Everyone Hates Elon. I kind of want to watch like the sitcom Everyone Hates Elon. Like Trump is his adoptive dad. He's staying in the White House and he keeps on goofing it off and like, oh no, I meant to cut everyone's health insurance so all the poor people die, but I accidentally gave poor people a tax break. Doi! Elon, Um, but after the world's largest picture of Epstein was removed, um, someone else, a different group, projected it onto Windsor Castle, and this one's been like unavoidable for people, and it's been everywhere in the news. There were four people arrested in the process of doing this. There have been more arrests as well. I don't have a link for this one, but I know there was a van driving around. I think it was like led by donkeys were doing this with the picture as well, and that actually the van was seized by cops. Just another like right side of history moment for Thames Valley Police. Shout out
yeah.
TVP. We love our boys in blue. Um, and yeah, I think they seized the van and they shut everything down there and arrested people. Arrested even like journalists trying to report on it. So it was
That's
like quite
right. Yeah.
funny seeing the Luigi Mangione trial has had like a van going around that has like the donation link QR code to his fundraiser, uh, and has been going around and getting in the background of press shots. Like they got the QR code on national television, and
Mm.
like meanwhile in good old Blighty, like you try and just point out that the president is a nonce, and and they lock you up for a million years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess
Anyway,
um I guess it should
yep,
be noted as well, like how many CEOs were at this little party
Mm,
with Trump. There
yeah.
was like the CEO of Barclays, the CEO of Apple, the CEO of oh God, what's that? They're just literally like easy. Oh, Nvidia, yeah, the guy from Nvidia. Basically, there was a huge, big, long table in Windsor Castle, and it's obviously been designed for stuff like this for generations, and it is literally all just yeah, they're all just literally CEOs just lined up all along this table for like 100 different guests, and
mm.
yeah, so that's why they had so many fucking snipers and so many fucking, just like protection, like absurd protection, for the state visit. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense.
Mhm.
The last one I've got, oh, I think since they, been putting up the picture of Epstein everywhere, um, you know, I think it's important to say like there've been, and we were talking again about like Trump's censorship in the news just now, but like the attempts to hold back like what Epstein and the people he's connected to did are not working because like the Epstein's victims are getting together to compile their own list
Yeah.
of people they know were there, obviously because they were there. So yeah, but speaking of Trump being an nonce and his associations with literally the most famous pedophile in history. Um, Before the visit happened, there was an Epstein memorial plaque installed at Trump's golf course. Now, he loves his golf course, and I love this plaque, so let me read it out to you. It was installed on a bench at the Aberdeen golf course. It reads, "In loving memory of Jeffrey Epstein, a terrific guy. See you very, very soon from Donald."
Huh.
And that's
Oh
my favorite
yeah.
protest action people have done against Trump in the during the visit. So yeah, that's the news. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Just want
yeah.
to quickly remind everyone that we are showing made possible by our Patreon at patreon.com/red_planet. There's a bunch of different tiers that you can subscribe at. We'll talk about it a little bit more later, but we need more people to subscribe to keep doing the show. So please go to the Patreon and support us there. Right. Well,
Mm.
time for the main topic of the show, and we're talking about informational dominance, informational control, hermeneutic injustice. But put simply, Trump's making it illegal to say anything. Can't even say that Trump's a nonce. Can't
Can't
even
even say your
say that
English.
they killed a fascist, and that's a good thing. Can't say anything anymore. There are so many overlapping things right now, like to do with authoritarian policies. In the last like 2 weeks, especially, I think like the Charlie Kirk thing has like definitely accelerated it because it's like a pretense that they're trying to use. But like so many things coming out where the Trump administration is trying to just control people's ability to like know anything. Um, yeah. So I don't know if you two saw like formerly Department of Defense, now Department of War. Hegseth has said that no unauthorized information is allowed to be reported by journalists, and this is legislation they're bringing in. Um, like even if it's not classified, it it can't be reported unless they've explicitly authorized it to go out. I'm kind of fascinated by this because it's like, are they, I don't know, like, are they putting this in advance of like they know they're going to start saying a bunch of like doing a bunch of horrible stuff? Or is it just like the same thing as with the FBI where they've replaced everyone with such incompetent fucking losers that they're like, we can't trust them to not blab everything to a journalist? Like if the journalists who hang around the Pentagon are just like getting Subway, right? There's a subway at the Pentagon,
Yeah.
um, and they picked it to be there because of the pedophile connection. Obviously, that everything they have to invest in like good American pedophilia, um, and like if they're just like there getting a foot long, then they might be next to a guy who's just like, oh yeah, we're invading Baltimore tomorrow. Like we're just gonna kill everyone. I'm really hyped about it. Epic Epic Keck or whatever. Buy my Baltimore Destruction coin. Available now. I've just published the token,
My
and
Didn't
AI
we
yeah,
written how to
didn't
destroy
we
Baltimore
just
book.
like literally have like what was it last week? What was it that got leaked because a journalist just pretended to go out on a date with a dude? Like that was the
What?
thing. It just happened like
What?
just last week. I can't remember what it was. It was something really embarrassing as well. And the White House had to do like a notes app apology about it. It was like it
Well, that's
was well,
we
okay.
got a producer's note here. It
Yeah.
was James O'Keefe said he was gonna scrub all the Republicans' names from the James O'Keefe released this story, and the officials stated that they were going to basically scrub all the Republicans' names from the Epstein files and leave the Democrats on there, basically. And also, yeah, a chat member on YouTube is pointing out to us that, yeah, the Pete Hegseth on Signal just being like, yeah, here's all the war plans for the next year or something.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a fascinating time.
Yeah, it is ridiculous because it's like, I mean, like the framing of it all, like this, like no unauthorized reporting and all this kind of stuff is like pretty hectic in itself. But it's like kind of funny because it has this dual focus of like, it's not just that it's like they're trying to control the flow of information from like critics or detractors, but that it literally is just like they are so incompetent that they are like just letting shit slip out like absolutely
Yeah,
everywhere.
there's like a
Um,
category that already existed from under Obama that's like confidential but not classified. But it was like very rarely used, and like it's just like so many other things that Trump like it's very rarely used now. They're just being like, this is the normal policy now.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's yeah, it's like because I've seen a lot of posts. I've been seeing so many posts on Twitter of people noticing that things are being like like things are being pulled off of government websites and everything. And this is like everything from like yeah, anything to do with like civil rights stuff through to like anything about like like anything to do with historic like queer or like any like kind of contemporary trans kind of stuff or anything like that. I kind of wonder if they are doing the same thing where do you remember the Elon Doge department thing where they were just like searching for keywords and deleting stuff?
Oh yeah.
I wonder how much of a scattershot this is, or if it's like, like how intelligently they're implementing their plans. And yeah, because I mean it's like I just don't trust that this like administration is that clever, like
Yeah.
I feel like mm,
It's not a
like I
good
think
move.
yeah. So yeah, because and I mean we did see in the past like them kind of screwing up by like, deleting or like, like doing things with the wrong thing just because they had like, searched for something and they hadn't really understood what they were getting rid of. I mean, I feel like this is a moment that people are going to be looking at for a long time into the future. We were kind of talking before about, how there's like all these ideas about like, oh, there was like a dark age in history here or there when there was like a loss of all of this information and we just thought that that could never happen again. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now we're just
Yeah.
seeing it happen and it actually can
Yeah.
happen very easily. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's kind of
wild.
fascinating because we are living in an age of unprecedented data and information. Like tech giants who have social media platforms want, as Bo Burnham said, like every second of your life. They want every moment of your existence to be something that can be processed through a machine and profit can be churned out of it. And it's like efforts to preserve information for people's general good are not like this, right? Like it's not being done because it's good to just document everything. There are like horrific interpersonal effects of just like and psychological effects of just like creating a hard record narrative of like everyone's life. Like it's actually normal to like do something when you're like 12 that was like you would die of embarrassment if you thought about it when you're like 35, but like you just never will. It's just gone forever. But like now, like it will be your first experience of being famous because uh, Jamie Winnison like filmed you in the playground doing it, and it became a viral TikTok. Like this isn't actually normal, and it's interesting to see that the same socio-political forces that drive this attempt to capture every single moment of our lives are also like opposed to the informational infrastructure, right? Like, because if you think of two projects like trying to kind of capture everything, like Facebook and Wikipedia. Like one of these is trying to like get one sense of like everything, as in like we want to write down like a helpful guide so people can like look through and understand any given thing they're trying to learn about, right? And the other thing is like get just like everyone's data, like just truly every little thing that could be known about anyone in any kind of metric numerical sense, and even their like chat logs, and just like feed it all into the machine so the machine can produce like whatever we want. Like, yeah, like the right wing tech forces are leading to situations where like Wikipedia is being banned or Wikipedia is being censored or whatever. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
that's fascinating to see.
and it's also like, we're not so far away from where we were either, because thinking about Wikipedia in particular, you're not going to get a solid source and solid citations about North Korea, for example, on Wikipedia. You're not going to get solid
100%.
sources and citations about Palestine and
I
Zionism on.
literally was just like having that conversation with someone the other day. I did a tweet about it. There's been like a story that's gone super viral recently. It's a video of Kim Jong-un crying, and they're like, he's crying because of declining birth rates in Korea, and like crying because like bitchless, all this kind of stuff. And it's from this women's conference from a few years back, and it's like actually a very well-known clip, and it's like it's something that has been like, this is from like 2 years ago. It's a very well known piece of footage, and it's him crying. Like they did speak about birth rates at another thing. It was like from the North Korean Women's Conference, but he was actually talking about, he was listening to a bunch of elderly Korean women that lived under Japanese occupation, and they were talking about the sexual violence that they had experienced
Oh
during this time.
Jesus.
It's really fucking horrific, and like an actually like really incredibly moving video. And he's obviously in tears hearing about these horrible things that like the woman had to go through. But this is being spread around as like, North Korea birth rate declining, like it's horrible, like that, like he's crying because he knows his country is doomed and stuff. And so I tweeted about it, and I think a couple of other people did. But following the sources for it, there's just like, it's like a news article that is citing another news article. It like goes, like you play chase a couple times, and it's like a bunch of the reporting isn't reporting the story, but it's reporting on the reporting of the story.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you go to like, even like, and for other cases, like there was one a little while back, I remember looking about North Korean stuff, and you go to Wikipedia and it's like, oh yeah, state media says this, and so you click the link to that, and it's like, oh, state media from North Korea didn't actually say this. An American guy that lives in Seoul that claims to be monitoring emails from someone said that this person told him this. And it's just like this kind of thing where it's like, you don't get good information through these channels already. Like
yeah.
this is already so like polluted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also I think like sort of coming around from that reference to North Korea, of course this is the whole rhetoric from every single fucking liberal. I've even seen some people that I respect. I respect their political opinions. Say this, that the USA is becoming North Korea.
Oh, I
Um,
know.
and
It's
and
like,
and and that's just so embarrassing. Like it's such an embarrassing like
Like,
Yeah, you know, the lack of information that you have had about North Korea because of state censorship is now making you think that increased state censorship is North Korea. And it's like,
American not being allowed information. This is just like North
it's
Korea.
Americans are what they believe North Korean people to be. Like,
real, exactly.
yeah, yeah. It's
We
All
love the great
projection.
leader, and then it's a picture of SpongeBob. Like
or it's fucking Trump
it's
holding a fucking Bitcoin, you
the
know? Like,
Monopoly man. No, it's Trump like on like a McDonald's ad where he's like
Yeah.
saying that like if you pay $1,001 for the new Trump Gold card that can get you citizenship by paying, you can get a free Big
Uh,
Mac with your Trump Gold card now.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it's fascinating seeing this kind of like informational, yeah, I mean like info war going on here. Like it truly is that, and like it's fascinating to watch because like the I don't know, the Charlie Kirk thing is serving as such an interesting microcosm for everything that's going on because they're trying to like make everyone by force, like literally by force, because they're like trying to fire people, get people fired, even like arrested, like if their people are protesting. And when it comes to like the Nazis, just like attacking people, like
mm.
just attacking people who try to like mess with any kind of Charlie Kirk memorial, whatever.
yeah,
And
that's
like
happening right
all
now
of that.
online. Like I literally just saw a post. I'm like, I've just got Blue Sky open, and someone is saying, "What's the record for the most turnovers and still winning a game?" And then someone replies saying, "You aren't watching the Charlie Kirk Memorial?" And it's like, this is mass
No,
psychosis.
they're watching Red Planet, obviously.
They're
Uh, but the no, it's like they're trying to like by force like reverse everyone's opinion of the most obviously dumb and evil guy into like he was a lovely civil moderate. And at the
yeah,
same time as this, like they think they can just like push really hard against like information they don't like. So like there have been cuts to studies on let me know if you know any more that I've missed out here, but like the government body that reports on how many people are employed, the government body for like disease control, obviously, like the CDC is just fucked to the point that like the West Coast and East Coast states are like making their own separate CDCs now.
yeah, that's right.
Environment, like a bunch of satellites are going to get like deorbited who are meant to be like monitoring like environmental and like weather control, like no weather, storm monitoring stuff. And now food poverty is the most recent one. Just like how many Americans simply cannot afford food. And they're just like, if no one knows these things, no one can tell anyone that these things are bad. And
Right.
so no one will dislike us for them. But it's like people know when they can't afford food and that it's Trump's fault. Like the polling I saw recently, like it was a poll that rather than just having like how many people approve, like what percentage of people approve or disapprove, it kind of like added them together so that you have a on average like Trump has a minus 17 approval right now,
Yeah,
meaning
that's
that
right.
like
Yeah.
the average person at least doesn't like him a bit.
Yeah.
Like, the average person at least would be like, no, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and they just think that like because like the presidential approval is like the economy stonks line for being the president. Trump just wants the line to be going up.
Right.
And if he can make it so people can't see anything bad being said about him, surely the line will go up. But it's like the most careless. I think it's putting to shame a lot of like classic conspiracy theories about like what the CIA has been up to or whatever. Because if American fucking like mind control, if we're seeing this, the American state do its absolute best to like convince everyone Trump is a good president, and it looks like this, I've got to retract a lot of stuff I've written online about MK Ultra. Like,
Yeah, but to be fair, they cut all those jobs. All those guys who did MK
that's
Ultra,
true.
all those
Doge
guys
just
who did
cut them all.
COINTELPRO, Doge just got rid of them. They don't have any of that stuff anymore. I mean, that's the whole thing, right?
yeah.
Like Kash Patel was in a select committee. He was being questioned about this one guy, Dylan something or other. He was a right-wing fascist shooter,
Dylan
and
Roof, very famous fascist
that
shooter.
guy,
Yeah.
Dylan Roof, yeah, and he was being questioned about that, and like the Democrat that was questioning him was like, yeah, and he's like, I don't know who that is, And she was like, "You're the head of the
Yeah,
FBI."
it's like, come
She
on,
said you're
man.
the head of the FBI. It was so funny.
You know,
I
and
would
yeah,
anyone who
yeah.
has 4 spare hours to spend on it, I really recommend watching the Senate Oversight Committee hearing for the FBI with Kash Patel. He moves and talks like a Tim Robinson character who's been caught
Yeah,
doing
it's
something he's not
wild.
supposed to do,
Like the way that
and
he's
they are
always
all
looking
mad at him.
like he's looking for the adults in the room, you know? He's like
He's so scared the whole time.
Yeah.
I'll actually, when I do my first stream, when I return to streaming, I'm planning to watch a bit of the Oversight Committee hearing. So if you want some
Oh yeah.
high octane thrills, tune into that.
That would be great, actually. I'm gonna really enjoy watching that. Yeah, that's it, right? It's just this whole complete like it's a realization, I think, of liberals finally that what we've been saying the whole time, which is that it's pointless debating fascists because they're just going to believe what they're going to believe. We've already every single argument for fascist reactionary views, right-wing views, has been debunked by data, by research, by statistics, by scientists, by peer-reviewed, anthropology, archaeology, literally every kind of science possible. Every kind of science possible is gone. No, all this stuff is wrong and bad and doesn't make a better society, and actually socialism makes a better society. And that's where we're up to. We're at that bit where I think some liberals are finally going, wait, hang on a minute, this one Republican rep just said that we don't care that Tom Holman, isn't qualified for his position or whatever. Like, so someone like this thing came out where it was like Tom Holman is completely underqualified for whatever position he's in, and this one representative just said, "We do not care," in all caps on Twitter, and it's like, yeah, you should listen to them. You should listen to them when they say that, because they just don't care. It's not about debate. It's not about getting actual data and facts and statistics. They make it all up anyway. They will just be like, oh, well, this percentage is this. And you'll be like, where did you get that percentage from? And they'll be like, look it up, bro. And then you look it up and you're like, no, it's wrong. And then they'll just be like, no, that's like a commie website. It's like Biden's Democrat website that tells you that. And
well,
you
it's like
just
the
need to
whole
look at the Trump website, and that'll tell you the right one.
that whole Steve Bannon concept of like explaining is losing.
Yeah,
We get that a lot. Like I've even
Yeah.
seen New Zealand reactionary kind of like politicians and media types saying that, like literally just being like, explaining is losing. It's like you're not supposed to say it out loud. Like
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Literally
It's
that.
really, it's speaking of the liberals though, like it's fascinating to see them approach like MAGA as if like they have a religious exemption for being a dumbass. Like being in MAGA is obviously a cult. It's your belief system. You shouldn't like get into endless arguments about. You should respect other people's beliefs, right? That's important free speech doctrine. And uh and it's like all of the insane things that MAGA people like can say and believe, and like the ways they can act are just completely outside of any like I know this is like the iciest cold take. Like it's been over a decade now of this shit. Like that their behavior is outrageous. But I just the way liberals all the way into fascism. Like I saw a reel earlier that was like the scene where Tina in Bob's Burgers is learning to drive, and she's just driving the car very slowly but straightforward towards the only
so
other car
good.
in a massive empty
Like
parking lot,
slows one
and they were
way
like,
at the
"This
back.
is liberals going towards fascism." Like, just it's the most avoidable thing. But they need to keep like a set of rules constraining the behavior and constantly like scolding the behavior of the left that does not apply to the right because it's their religion. Like it's their being an asshole, being a dumb asshole is their religion, and you should not like question it. It
Yeah,
fucking sucks so bad. Like I don't know. Like okay, you know what? Nancy Mace recently made a remark where she said a word that is offensive and is sometimes used to describe people like myself. And it's, if anyone knows me in real life, they know I rarely say trans people, trans women, transgender. I say that word, just that word, none of the other words.
it's true.
like, and and I don't say it when I'm on stream because because of terms of service. But that fucking cunt can. Like, she just does it and it's fine. Like, it's very frustrating. I
Yeah.
don't know. The other thing I want to say was just like this idea of a dark age is very like interesting and compelling in relation to like reactionaries because like when I was learning about Egypt when I was a teenager, like as kind of like a hobby interest, there were a whole bunch of like what were called intermediary periods in Egypt, in Egyptian history, where like the dynasty got fucked up. Like there was contest over who was going to be the king, and then it kind of kingdom fell apart a little bit, and there was a split and like balkanized for a little while until one king could like claim sovereignty over everything. And like that's pretty clearly I would make an argument that's like a massive outburst of like reactionary politics. Like a bunch of guys all wanting to be king so they can rule like the kingdom. You know, the thing that's leading to that is not, I don't know, what you'd call humanist ideas, is it? Um, but like one of the oldest recorded human like plays is this hyper reactionary guy basically having a dialogue with his soul about whether he should kill himself. And all his grievances about the way the world are that people are more free. Like he's like, there are slave girls walking around wearing emeralds or whatever. And it's like when, I don't know, regimes that are capable of creating a lineage of, a history, a narrative, like creating information that we can like refer back to an archive of store of human knowledge, like collapse into a dark age. It can mean a lot of different things. Um, and it's like it's possible there will be people living in freer ways that like the the administration that leads to the collapse of information like will not record because it's the exact thing they're trying to like hide as much as possible. Like, with the Tyler Robinson thing, right? Everyone's like, the trans roommate doesn't exist. The filing said biological male. I'm like, that's how they describe a trans woman. What's wrong with you? Um, and like, it's interesting, I guess, to think of like the people who essentially like will slip through the cracks of history because the regime that's falling apart wants to hide that they exist, and the regime that will come in that will be able to like stabilize things at some future point will not want to acknowledge they existed either. Speaking as one of those people, I just think it's kind of an interesting thing that's going on in this moment.
Yeah, I think it's super obvious that what is going to happen is, I mean, just to me, I just keep thinking about the realities of people in Nazi Germany. And I think I can't remember when I had this conversation this week. It might have been on my stream, it might have been when I was on the phone with you, so for something like that. But I just keep thinking about how normal people in Nazi Germany just got along fine. When I say normal people, I mean like everyday Germans. If you didn't criticize the regime, if you didn't hide your firstborn son from going into the military or any other son, actually, like when they got to the age 18, if you just got along and did your job despite the horrible, horrific conditions that you were under when doing your job and not getting paid any fucking money and starving, as long as you just shut up and got on with it, you were fine. And like one of the biggest pillars of white supremacy is comfort. Comfort that we have in the white West over the extraction of wealth from the imperial periphery. And I think that as long as liberals are getting their treats, they will just be like, yeah, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg card for 2028. That's what we've got. And it just has to be a situation where it's like, yeah, sure, go along to the No Kings protest and try and radicalize some libs. Do it. It's a good idea. You should do it. I'm not saying give up on every single liberal that you ever speak to ever in your life, but it's like, if you have someone who is, saying things like, we just need to vote. We just need to vote for the right lib and that'll work. Like, you just got to move on from that person.
But check this out. No Kimmel. No Kimmel. The libs are gonna be like setting police stations
Have
on
face
fire.
with
They're
no
gonna
Kimmel. Yeah.
no Kimmel. Like it's game over. Like the fucking if there was one thing that was gonna no, I think when we were calling, like I was saying, like there is definitely a massive economic crash coming in the US, right? Like more
Yes,
and more
that's
people can't
right.
pay
Yeah.
their rent. loads of people apparently like the Google Trends for like help with my mortgage is the highest it has been since the 2008 financial like
Um,
the same level, right? And that's Google Trends, but still. Um,
mm,
and at the same time as that like very kind of obvious thing is pointing towards like a housing collapse, like there's so much like uh bad money in tech
Oh,
right
we
now,
were
and
talking about
tech is
the
the
AI bubble.
only successful. Yeah, the AI bubble. Like
Yeah.
tech is the only functional industry in America, and it's not. It's functional only through magical thinking and like just throwing endless money that makes the magic come true. And it's gonna pop really bad. And I was saying to Mule, like I know a bunch of people will be radicalized by this. I know this like will like drive a lot of people to the left and get people out in the streets and involved in whatever. It will. It's 2008 caused Occupy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how many people are going to be radicalized by Kimmel going off the air. And I and I want for like my belief in humanity, I want to believe that like people will like generally be like, "Yep, Kimmel, that's more of the same." And then like when they can't afford, like when like a massive, massive economic crash happens, they'll be like, "Whoa, shit! Like time for action." But I, I kind of think like the average American lib is like going to be getting on the streets now because they're like, "Kimmel, they took away our Kimmel." No.
Well,
I
I
do
think
think that there
like
is like there's like this like section of society who like like Kimmel will be a wake up call for them, but I don't necessarily believe that that is the same section of society that is willing to go out and do like direct action or anything like that.
yes,
It's
it will make those
but
people doomers.
maybe it will make like maybe they are the parents of the people who will be or something like that. Maybe they'll stop thinking that their son is such a fuck up because he keeps going out to these
I was
marches.
I was raised by a man who was completely politically disillusioned. He would say to me all the time, first they came for Jimmy Kimmel, and I could not speak out because I wasn't
Mm,
Jimmy Kimmel. Son, you have to do
exactly.
something. No, I was chatting earlier. I shared something that called Tyler Robinson a normal type shooter. It was one of my YouTube comments. Someone called him a normal type shooter,
Like
and a
Pokemon
friend
type wound.
and a friend who's very into Pokemon immediately replied to my Instagram thing, and she was like, "This implies the existence of fire, water, grass type shooters." And we were talking about what that would mean. Like, obviously, like
Dark
grass would
psychic
be like an
combo
eco
shooter. Yeah.
terrorist, like like a dark type shooter would be like intelligence community, false flag attack. A ghost type shooter would be like magic bullet shit, like impossible conspiracy theory shooter stuff going on.
JFK
Um,
shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thinking the psychic
Um,
type being one of those like those old like CIA men who stare at goats guys. Like
Mind
but
bullets.
I
yeah,
but I
yeah.
was saying like I think that electric type shooter is someone who uses a cyberpunk weapon and has like an incredibly niche one issue thing that they're doing an assassination because
Shinzo
of.
Abe guy.
Shinzo Abe guy,
I was
right? He
thinking more like
you
guy
there's
who
so much
hacks
to
a
hate
microphone
about.
and blows it up on it.
No, but like there's so much to hate about Shinzo Abe, and that guy like it was because of the Moonies specifically,
Yes,
and like
yes.
I think that I wonder like um I guess my prediction, like, yeah, like a bunch of liberals are not gonna know where to put their effort when Kimmel gets taken off the air, but there's gonna be like a very, very small sliver of like the Kimmel fan base who like Kimmel. They find him just funny and charming as a comedian, but were raised in gun culture, and so the way they conceptualize of like solving a problem is like I just the idea of someone going into police custody and being like, "Why did you shoot that man?" It's like, well, I just knew when they took Kimmel off the air. That was when we'd slid into fascism
Well, it's like
and it's gone too far.
if you think about you know what, I'm backing that so much because we've spoken about what is it Robert Evans was talking about weird terrorism when talking about what this is
Yeah.
gonna look like in the
Hmm,
new
hmm.
the new
People without a focused ideology, just
yeah,
it's confusing why they're doing it, and often
yeah.
their actions are confusing too.
And we have
Livelsberger, the guy who
yeah,
blew up a Cybertruck outside Trump Tower. Yeah.
yeah, and it completely makes sense when you're attributing that to Jimmy Kimmel. I'm really trying not to think about the chat message right now that says Kimmel was their Rubicon because it's very funny. But yeah, like I could definitely I could definitely imagine a guy who has Jimmy Kimmel faces all plastered over the walls and like a Jimmy Kimmel blow up sex doll that's like full of cum and like a Jimmy Kimmel, like, you know, a guy that looks like Jimmy Kimmel that they already have killed that's
Well,
in the basement, and like that guy exists, and you know, it won't be anything to do with Trump is a fascist and Trump took Kimmel away and that's freedom of speech. It's like Trump took my king away.
my
Kimmel was
king.
my king.
Kimmel, my king. I
Yeah.
think, no, I mean, check this out. Like, I think that for neurodivergent people, of whom Disney adults, I think, are more often, I would argue. Um, I a hot take
What are
on
you
this one.
saying?
But for neurodivergent people, betrayal trauma is like very significant. And Disney are the ones who cancelled Kimmel, right? Like they are
I
going after
see.
Disney now. People, so I saw someone earlier saying like all the Disney rides, all the parks, all everything has gotten way more expensive, like year on year on year, until it's so cripplingly expensive to be able to do that stuff. And that's why there's like success in the boycott because of Kimmel thing going on, because people who are actually like Disney fans are being pushed over the edge by this. They're like, no, I'm not going and doing all that shit now. And I'm just like, what if, you know, there's someone who's like their yearly holiday has been to go to the happiest place on earth. Every day they tune in and get their Kimmel. Every year in the summer they go and they hug Goofy and the mouse has them. And they, you know, like, but then no more Kimmel. Suddenly one day no more Kimmel. And they don't have their Kimmel.
Like there has to be like, you know, like this huge, like, I mean, it's a very popular show. There's got to be like this huge audience of people that just sit down every night and they watch their Kimmel, you know? It's like, yeah. And I feel like those people might have a strong reaction.
In my head, whenever either of you have been saying watch their Kimmel, I'm
Yeah.
just replacing the word watch with eats and Kimmel with
Yeah.
rule. You know what I
Well,
mean?
with
It's
Kimmel,
like, yeah,
they've
they're
got the
kibble. They're
American
eating their kibble.
population clicker trained to get their Kimmel as a reward for being good and compliant, subservient
I had a really
little
good. I had
American
a,
pups.
I had a really good. I had a really
Now the
good.
Kimmel is gone.
Yes, the kibble has completely fucked my brain. I had a really good take. Oh yeah, no, that's it. I saw something. I've just done a quick Google and I can't find it, but there was something that came out this week about Disney having like a crisis
The
meeting
mouse.
or oh, what was that?
The mouse. Sorry.
No, 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 no. Disney was having like a crisis meeting about the fact that the boycott movement was working. It was causing
Oh,
actual
shit.
financial damage to and reputational damage to the company. And they were talking about like what can we do about this? Like, should we up security at the park? Should we spend more money on park security? Because what if a weird terrorist gets in and does like a crime? You know, what if someone does a Jimmy Kimmel-esque weird celebrity love crime? Not a celebrity
What
hate
if
crime,
someone
a celebrity
reads you
love
mean tweets while shooting you?
Someone gets a Jordan Peterson Twitter jacket with all their tweets on the inside, but it's their own tweets about Jimmy Kimmel and shoots you while like going like that, going ah, yeah, oh yeah, no. So I think yeah. Anyway, let's bring it back. Let's bring it right back in. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel was their Rubicon, and
Yeah.
that yeah, it won't be Jimmy Kimmel. That's what I was going to say. One of the most upsetting and depressive things that I have seen as a result of this is other late night TV, the remaining late night TV talk show hosts. And to be honest, at this point, what they should do instead is make a reality TV show where they try and say the most controversial thing. It's like bogeys, you know what I mean? Like say it the loudest and see who gets kicked out of the library first. But yes, it was Jon Stewart. I saw Jon Stewart, a clip of Jon Stewart, and he was like, yeah, we love our leader, and this is what he would want me to say, and he was obviously doing a bit, and it was funny to a degree. But I was like, Nah, you're like you're doing the thing. Like you're actually just doing the thing that they want you to do, and like the biggest, most powerful thing that you could actually do if you had any kind of scruples about any of the politics that you've been talking about over the last fucking I don't know 10 years or however long it's been since Jon Stewart went woke. You would say, fuck all this shit. Jimmy Kimmel should have never been fired. What the fuck is going on? This is crazy. And if I'm going to get fired, then so be it. You know, how much money have you got in the bank, Stuart? Like, do you need your fucking job that much? Like, have a
Yeah,
fucking
it's pretty
backbone.
despicable.
You
No, I
know?
was saying this the other day. Like, it's when we talk about like there's a hugely popular thing I think among like online leftists now to talk about like treats, right? Let's talk about the American population especially, but the imperial population generally like love their treats and don't want like a better world, aren't interested in like organizing for a better world because they don't want their treats to go away in order to get there. Like it's the the anti-degrowth basically mindset. But I don't
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
that, right? Like I was saying this the other day, like I do not think it is that people don't want eco-socialist policies, degrowth policies. I think it's that the people who could be promoting those things ideologically, those political messages to get us towards that, so those are the people who want their treats too much, right? Those are the people who are holding up. Because when we actually bring eco-socialist policies to the population, like people fucking love the idea of like, oh shit, a city with like more green spaces that's more easily walkable, better public transport. Yes, I would like those things. Oh shit, like community gardens and activities for us to do. Oh shit, yeah, I would like those things. I actually don't want my Kimmel, like I'm only like enduring having my Kimmel because it's all that the mouse will give me. Like the mouse says I'm not allowed anything
I
else
mean,
except my Kimmel. I would
that
like to
is
go outside and
definitely
grow a
like a
fucking
thing.
aubergine,
Yeah, yeah,
No, but
yeah.
I'm saying like Jon Stewart and whatever other like completely replaceable media apparatchik beloved by trillions is like is like this is the person holding it up. Like this is the person who wants the treats. Like
Mm.
everyone from the like dead center, whatever that looks like nowadays, like the dead center politically, out to like people who call themselves leftists but don't advocate for anyone to ever organize. Like the reason this whole swath of the media ecosystem does nothing is they want their treats. It's not
Mm.
actually ordinary people. Like I think ordinary people are fucking so ready to get with the program in
Yeah,
terms of like we could live in a world where like social media has been fucking abolished
yeah. There's a reason
and we all
why.
like ride bikes around.
Yeah, there's a reason why the right love to say this silent majority thing. They love to say it all the time. We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a silent majority, and it's like,
We're silent. We don't
Fucking
turn
wish
up
you
to
did.
protests. We don't do nothing. Like,
You fucking wish they were silent.
yeah,
no, but you're right, Tim. Like they don't go to anything, they don't do anything. Like that, where is this majority? And it's why Tommy Robinson had to say that there were 3 million people at the London protest, and then the police also were like, "Oh, actually, this works in our favor. If we say there was 120,000 people at the protest, that'll mean that people are scared of fascism, and people will be too scared to do left-wing politics." When
Oh,
actually, the reality is like 76,000, 56,000. Go on, Soph.
well, I wanna get back on the Trump administration and have some concluding thoughts about like the ways they are trying to like informationally control everything and what they're trying
yeah.
to do here. And like also I guess some thoughts of like kind of what organizing we could do about it. But like I just want to quickly while you're on that, never miss an opportunity to call Aaron Bastani a wet winnet. Just such a wet
Such a
little
wet win
man.
it. Such a
Because
horrible wet.
when Tommy Robinson said we had 3 million people there, Bastani was like, it was really big. It was definitely a million people, Mr. Robinson. Can I suck any more of your toes? Uh,
Yeah.
but but you
He
don't have to
also
lie
said in
and
that
say it was
post,
3 million. It's like it wasn't a fucking million, Bastani. Shut the fuck up,
and in that
loser.
post, he said, "Why lie? It looks really big. It was. I believe that it was a million. Why lie?" And it's like, yeah, Bastani, why lie about being a leftist? Why lie about actually having any left-wing scruples? Like your fucking GB News check is
Mm.
literally popping out of the front of your fucking t-shirt. It's like wedged up your ass. Everyone can see it. Like, come on, man. Like, just shut the fuck up. But yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, go
the
on.
the the
Yeah.
Trump admin, right? So I think
Yeah, yeah.
firstly, I don't know, what do we say about like creating more informational infrastructure. Like there's some stuff we can't do, like just as like kind of ordinary civilian level doing on like organizing to make a difference,
Yeah.
right? There's some stuff like when we look at I mentioned earlier, like the CDC has been massively defunded and like reports on public health have been like slashed to ribbons. And now like the East Coast states and like the coastal elites are now making their own CDCs, and just like the middle of America is just gonna get like mega COVID, and just it'll be apocalyptic, and it's horrifying, right? And if there was like stuff that like people could do to kind of organize to do public health research and publishing, I guess people in those states could still do something. But I don't know. I think there's some amount of informational infrastructure that people can do uh, on our sort of level, like, without like state funding or the position of like an expert in a field, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it is absolutely key that we collate all of this information, or at the very least communicate it via spoken word, pass it down to each other, because, at the end of the day, we don't need to, like, this has always been my shtick from the moment that I started making political YouTube videos, Sophie. I said to you, I'm not a books guy. I've not read those books that you've read, but I know it's all real and it's all true. So how am I just gonna like communicate that to other people like me who are definitely not going to read Das Kapital, especially when it gets to the maths bit? And it's just that, isn't it? It's like, you pass it on. It's like we don't really need that much research to be like, yeah, the lies about immigrants are lies, like they're bad, like it's bad for people to experience those lies, and the lies about trans people are bad. It's bad for people to believe that
That's
about
true.
trans
That's
people.
true. There are lived
Mm.
experience things where they are trying to claim something obviously wrong. Like, yeah, I mean that we mentioned this before as well, but the trans people being classified as like nihilist, violent extremists,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I think that we one of the biggest things will be people archiving stuff. There are already archives that exist. Am I thinking of the right one, Z Archive, or is that like an ebook archive? I can't remember. So there is going to be academic books at least in that archive that people can
Yeah.
maintain, unless the Trump administration specifically comes for that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's also the whole thing about like people creating their own data centers. Like there's like this whole like indigenous data sovereignty thing that's happened down here with like there's a this kind of grassroots Maori organization that is like that's like their thing to go around to different iwi and hapu and stuff and be like, hey, you should set up your own thing because we should be careful with our own information and our own like all of our stuff. Like we don't want to collate this all to like a government website, and then like we're seeing right now where our government becomes very hostile to Maori, and they're like, because like historically a lot of that stuff has been stored online by government entities, sort of thing. So it's like I feel like there's a huge case, and I know that there are leftist groups in America and Europe that are like that's a thing that they're very focused on as well. I think that's something that a conversation that people should get really um conversation that a lot of people that haven't heard about some of those things should start becoming more aware of, because that's like definitely a thing that I think is going to be like something that people don't think about now, but like in a couple years time people are going to be like, oh damn, I wish we had done that when I heard someone
Yeah.
talking about it on the internet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's interesting, like, getting people to like write down or store information is always a solution people go to when talking about this kind of thing for preservation of information. But actually, like, getting a lot of people to know the thing is, and who are encouraged to spread it as well, is like so often the best way to preserve any given piece of information. Like, I'm thinking of the fact that like um the nihilist violent extremist thing going on where they're trying to like go after trans people with like as like a terror group or whatever. That several like Republicans on national television have now said like we need to like stop trans people being able to talk to each other. And like there's this huge focus on Discord because like like a lot of trans people are like gamers, I guess. Um, and I'm kind of like allowing people to just talk will preserve a lot of information that could otherwise like vanish, I think. Just like people just being able to communicate with each other at all. So I mean like one obvious thing, if no one's giving if audience, if no one's giving you this advice at any point so far, I don't know how you've missed it, but get Signal. Like get on Signal. And learn what OPSEC is the best you can. Like understand like you need to be on end-to-end encrypted stuff if you don't want like your stuff monitored. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Like it's I think something we're gonna have to start reckoning with in the next few years is like governments in the imperial core fully trying to stop people having internet access. Like maybe
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
parts of the population, this group or that group, who we think are dangerous in some way, or we don't want like their community, like they can be online, but we don't want their community knowledge stored anywhere. Like we want to stop them from doing that. Um, or yeah, like I mean, we've just seen in Nepal, like it's pretty fucking disastrous to try to just, in response to criticism, shut all that, like all communication down. But yeah, I think it's something we're going to see more and more like piecemeal attempts to shut down informational access for people.
Yeah. I think it's always important to go back to the times of like the 80s and 90s when it comes to things like pirate radio. Pirate radio was a thing all over the UK because lots of radio stations just would not play drum and bass and jungle and rave music because they were like, nah, this is, I mean, they never said this out loud, but they were basically like, this is black music and we don't want to play it. So, you know, people literally just used to get transmitters, like just get a transmitter. Like there's literally a tune where the lyrics are lick the transmitter, pond the high rise, and then just blast out the signal. And it's like, yeah, that's what they used to do. They just used to like get onto a high rise, put the transmitter on the top, send out the mix, and people would tune in, and that's it, right? And there was probably no way to know how many people were listening, but that's not really the point. Like the point is that you're putting something out there, and people are like, "Oh yeah, shit, I heard about the pirate radio thing. I heard about that going on last week." And then also like you know, video nasties. There was a black market for what were termed video nasties back in the day, which is just the pirate market for movies that were deemed too extreme by the Thatcher government. Like, for example, Evil Dead, The Driller Killer, what was the other one? It's like a really famous one that's like completely absurd that they called it a video nasty, but it was just deemed too extreme for the British public by the Thatcher
Like
government.
Cannibal Holocaust or something like that.
Yeah. Like, and it was just like, oh god, yeah, this is just like, yeah, just embarrassing stuff. But yeah, no, it was, and that's the thing. Like, there will always be ways around this, and we always, we also had, not we always, we also had on, who was that guest that we had on? I'm absolutely certain that we had a Red Planet episode where we were talking to someone about, um, what, how would you even describe it? Self-made internet access, or like communicating things with USB sticks and shit like that. I can't
Oh
even remember what it
yeah.
was.
There used to be a thing in I think it was in Ukraine when they didn't have the infrastructure for like proper internet. So different buildings would set up their own smaller internets and stuff. And I mean it's like similar like yeah, sneaker nets, our producer is saying. But yeah, there's a lot of other things like that all around. I mean, it's kind of like there's I think that where there's a will, there's a way to create like a targeted project for, you know, like the situation that you're in, you know, like it's kind of like if you yeah, kind of depends on what you want to do, what your aims are and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's always a way, and I think that like there's going to be a space for some real kind of like I think developments of new styles of these kind of projects with you know like the new technology that we have these days versus like back in the days where it was like literally like cables from building to building and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, like I have seen some interesting stuff with small satellite dishes and things like that, which might be getting a little bit wild. Like we don't exactly, yeah, we don't exactly know well, I don't know exactly know too much about how these things worked or like what the practical use cases for them, but yeah, I think it is going to be an age of these kind of, I guess, like tech led projects. Like yeah, I think that's just kind of like the face of, I guess, the front that we're fighting at the moment is
Mm,
as well as being the traditional organizing space is this kind of like tech information kind of angle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've just started getting into like long range like radio device stuff. Playing around with mesh-tastic devices, and
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I it's kind of an interesting question to me because I don't expect that like people will be tuning in to Red Planet through a mesh-tastic or reticulum device in a year's time because
Mm,
like Trump's shut down the internet or whatever. Uh, but it's interesting to think about what is possible and what would be like useful to be able to do with those kinds of devices. And like
yeah.
it's very much one of those things where it's not that hard to get into using them. And once you see what features they have and like you physically have the device and like have it on and carry it around with you a little bit, see like new nodes like appearing and disappearing and see like what features, like what information you can get from them or what information you can give to others if you want to. Like I think possibilities start appearing for you, especially if you are like having kind of a head for organizing. Yeah.
Mm,
I
yeah.
just really quickly wanted to bring up because I think it's always pertinent to bring this up
Hmm.
during the current onslaught in Gaza. Of course, the resistance in Gaza uses different networking methods to avoid detection by the Zionist entity. Like this is like a thing as well that is really important to remember. They have absolutely no choice and have created indigenous connectivity and networks that they can share information on and communicate to each other on. There have been some things in John Elmer's resistance report that I've seen before where Al Qassam literally release video footage of them communicating on phones that they have wired in themselves to other parts of the Gaza Strip, through various different tunnel networks, to literally communicate to each other because obviously, like, Israel could just like tap a phone if it wanted to, if it was on their network.
Mm,
But yeah, really important to remember, like these things are not only possible, but they work, and yeah, like obviously, the I I fail to see a future where it is not impossible that something like what happens in the Gaza Strip happens somewhere in the imperial core. Do you know what I mean? Where there is like
Yeah.
an enclave where a marginalized population is shuttled to and
Yeah.
concentrated in and then gets bombed to fuck. And of course, something like that is just going to have to happen. And I don't say that with any joy, but it's important for us to think about that if it's something that we don't want
Yeah.
to happen.
I
Or at the
think
very least, if it does happen, we have a way of bypassing it.
Yeah, I think that it's possible we will see if there are these kind of state attempts to like shut down information spread out to something bigger and like more kind of more extreme at the same time, especially if they're like targeting marginalized groups. I think we're likely to see like there's already a lot of people just being like, just get offline, just like stop being on social media, just like get off social media. It just sucks. Like it's become a huge force, way bigger than it's ever been before, I think. Like there's always been a bit of people just being like, this is bad for you. And we all know it's bad for you.
mm,
But then now people are being like, we have to because it's fascist on here. And like I
yeah.
think we will get people who are like going way beyond that and they're like, like I have a phone that I have nothing installed on and I'm not signed into anything. I'm just on there for Signal and I Google like recipes on there, like information I strictly need from a burner account, like this kind of
Mm,
stuff. Yeah, I think that's something we're probably going to see. But yeah, it's an interesting one to ponder. I think it's a topic we'll probably come back to repeatedly, especially as I'm now fiddling around with Laura stuff. Um, yeah, I think is a good place to probably leave the show this week. We're a show made possible by the support of our patrons over at patreon.com/red_planet. There are a bunch of different tiers you can support us at, but the highest one is Sicko tier. And if you go Sicko mode and give us the most money you can at our Patreon, uh, you get a personal thank you on the end of every single episode. And that looks like this. Thank you, Risk Inverse, for being our sicko, going sicko
Thank
mode,
you.
and
Thank
keeping the
you.
show possible. Yeah, like please subscribe to the Patreon. It is essential for us to keep the show going, for us to get new patrons. We want to get the Zad documentary finished. We're trying to do that before the end of the year. There's more stuff we want to do beyond that. Like, there's other documentaries we'd love to get out there and film and put out about other ways people can live. We want to keep on doing the show. So please go to patreon.com/red_planet and support us. But if people want to get more, Tim, where should they go?
You can find me on Twitch and YouTube as Conquest of Dread, or you can find me over on Twitter and Blue Sky as Dread Conquest. I just realized that I hadn't actually checked Blue Sky in like 3 months, just literally this morning. So yeah, I don't get on there too much. Twitter's usually the best place to find me. Yeah, uh, I mainly just shitpost these days, but if you are interested in tabletop RPGs, you can also check out the Twitter Dark RPG 2000 for a project that I've been working on that is almost finished. It's like a tabletop role playing game, dark future, you know, gnarly hyper capitalist kind of shit. Um, it's very fun and almost done. But what about Mule? Where can I find more about Mule?
You could get me tomorrow, Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. till late UK time, streaming on twitch.tv/DJMUEL. You can get all of my links at linktree.ee/DJMUEL. And I have 3 YouTube channels, one for my Twitch clips, one for my Twitch VODs, and one main channel where I do, not really video essay stuff, but just like, I don't know, videos, communist organizey kind of video kind of things. Yeah, I'm also on Patreon. I just dropped this week on my Patreon a review of the movie Weapons, which I actually really enjoyed, but I do have a couple of takes about it, with it being one of the most enjoyed, I guess, horror movies of the year, one of the most anticipated and highly rated horror movies of the year. I do have some criticisms, but I thought it was really, really good. So if you want to check that out, you can get that at tier 2 and above, which is £5 a month and above. But yeah, if I want to hear more from Soph, who's just released a new video, where can I do that?
Yeah, exciting episode to be asking for me to plug my links because I am right between releasing a video, just did it, and returning to streaming. I just put out a video about Charlie Kirk on my channel, Sophie from Mars. Linktree.ee/Sophie from Mars will give you all my links. I am going to give Twitch streaming a go again. I haven't in a couple of years because of shit that happened and exploded my life and a big mental health crisis. And I am going to return to it this coming Friday, and do some liberal slop and also some FBI Senate Oversight Committee hearing. I think it'll be really fun. So you should come along and check that out on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Sophie_FRM_Mars. I believe it's been that long that I don't really remember. But it's on my link tree. So linktree.ee/Sophie from Mars. And most importantly, my Patreon. You can support me there. That's my main source of income. And when it goes up, I feel less like the walls are closing in and like I will one day be able to have a house and a family. Please support my Patreon. Also, I am occasionally on Mule's streams, so we'll let you know when that happens if you stay tuned into our social media and can watch us nattering away about whatever. Otherwise, you find me every week on Red Planet. I'll see you all there next week. Tune in on your favorite Meshtastic device and get us chatting about sharing just 90 minutes of just the Trump Epstein photo will be the show next week. So look forward to that.
We're going to project it onto the side of a castle.
Yep. Every castle.
See you in prison.